Hey, what's up guys, it's JB here, and in this video I'm going to show you how I'm going to make a super king size bed frame for this mattress. So just recently the missus and I decided that a standard double bed is just not big enough, so we've gone and got ourselves a super king size mattress, and right now I'm going to share with you how I'm going to make a frame for this. Now I've got all the wood, I've got all the timber, I'm kind of in the process of preparing it now, and what I'm going to do is get it in and we're going to put a bed together. Now when they took this off the lorry I did have to get my tape measure up because it didn't actually look that big coming out of the lorry, but now that it's in the room, it's quite some size. This is actually double the size of a single bed. So half of this is a single bed. This is basically two single beds together. So I'm really looking forward to having plenty of room in this tonight. Oh yeah. So it's actually 1.8 metres wide and it's 2 metres long. Now usually in a standard bed my feet do tend to hang out just a little bit, so I've got an extra 6 inches on this bed and an extra 1.5 foot width. I just got to get the frame made now so I can sleep in it. So as you can see, I've started preparing the timber, and what I've done so far is cut the bottom and top rail, and I've also cut the 4 legs. Now this is prepared timber, which basically means it's been planed, it's run through the plane, so you get a nice smooth finish. So these legs, these are 3 by 3 or 75 by 75. That's how they are when they're first cut, but then after they've been planed they do go down by about 5 millimeters on both dimensions. So they're a little bit under 3 inches by 3 inches. And I've cut these about 375 millimeters tall. So having a look at this here, this is basically how the bottom part of the bed is going to look. So I'm going to fix these onto the rails, and these rails are 2 by 6. Again, they're finished, so or prepared, so they are a little bit thinner, but I think you'll agree that they're still pretty hefty. I mean, this is a big bed, so you definitely need that extra support, but I am putting a centre support in this as well. So there we go, that's basically how that's going to look, but obviously flipped round the other way. Now because of the brackets that I'm using to actually connect the side rails to the top and bottom, it does mean that I have to actually fit these legs flush to one side here on the inside. That's so I can actually use the brackets that I've got. I would really like to have the leg or the rail sitting kind of in the middle of the leg, but that's fine, it'll still look good. It'll still look pretty good, I reckon. So what I need to do now then is prepare the top and bottom and get the legs screwed into the ends. This is where I want the leg to sit on this particular side panel, or the side panel that's going to be at the bottom of the bed. So what I've done is drilled some holes through here, and I'm just going to mark the holes into this timber. I was thinking about putting some dowels in this going into the sides here, but I just thought, you know what, it's going to be a bit easier. I'm going to use 3 screws, and I'm going to use these 6 by 120s, so they really do go in quite far, as you can see here. I'm going to sink the heads and I'm going to plug those later because this whole bottom piece is going to stay as one fixed bit. So I'm going to screw it, glue it and plug it. So I'll put some rather big holes in here to allow the screw to sink into the hole, and then I'm going to plug that later. So plenty of glue. Just going to smooth that out. Now we'll end up getting some squirting out the edges when I screw this up. So I'm going to make sure that I've got a wet cloth available. Now the thing about gluing onto the end grain, it does really draw in the glue, so make sure you've got plenty on here, and it's sometimes worth just sealing the end before you actually do this. Right, that is in there, nice and tight now. The glue is going to go off. By the time I've got this all together and I'm going to be sleeping in it, that will have gone off enough. And as I've said, there's plenty of support here, but that's how the end's going to look. I just need to do the same with this on the other side of this one, and then also the two ends of the top panel. That's the top and bottom finished now, so I've got that done. Like if those a quick clean up, I put a couple of pencil marks on there, so I'm just going to clean those up. The next thing I'm going to do is bring up the two ends, fit the brackets, and then I can get those on the ends of the top and bottom. These have been cut. They have been rounded off very slightly on these top edges here. I kind of planed it a bit, gave it a bit of a bevel edge, and then I've just gone over it with a bit of sandpaper, so that's lovely and smooth now. Done that on both sides, the tops and bottoms are done, so all I've got left to do now, well, I've got lots to do, but the next thing to do to get these four bits together is to fit these brackets. Now these brackets are exactly the same as the brackets on the bed that we had previously, which wasn't handmade. It was handmade, but professionally by a proper bed company, not like someone like me. But I got these off Amazon, so these are exactly the same brackets. So this part here will go against the end, and this part will go on the side panel, and then the side panel in theory will just lock down into position between the top and the bottom section. So one of these at the top, one of these at the bottom on the bottom end, one of these each end of the side piece, and then boom, that locks down into position, and then you can do it up and that pulls out nice and tightly. So I just need to work out where they're going and get them screwed on. If you are going to attempt making your own bed, I do recommend it's worth getting your mattress and taking a measurement of it first. Now, I got the timber prepared and delivered and everything, but I didn't cut it until I got the mattress, and I put the mattress on the floor. I put a couple of units up to it either side so I could get an exact measurement of the mattress. I've allowed a little bit extra as well, but what I'm looking at here is for the mattress to actually very slightly sit inside the frame. I did initially think of having the slats flush with the top, but then I just thought, no, I want to see a bit of the, a bit of the timber. It's a nice bit of pine, this, and it did cost a fair amount of money. So I think it'd be quite nice if it actually sits inside. So measure your mattress really carefully, and then obviously you can cut all your bits and pieces correctly. I'm using the combination square to set the position of this bracket, so I can then set everything else exactly the same all the way around. So I've set that, so that's all ready to go, and I've marked on the timber where I want the holes to go. So I'm just going to start off using a really small drill bit. I've now attached all the brackets to the tops and bottoms, and now I've got to fit this part to the ends. What I've done here is just used a slither of the side panels that I cut, and I've basically put that into place and marked where the holes need to be, and then what I'll do is just measure where the holes are with the tape measure, do it on there, use the combination square to get the correct height, because these sit flush together at the top, which is great. So yeah, just transfer those holes onto there and we're going to put it together soon. Now, the screws that they provided with these were quite small. Wasn't too happy about using them, so bearing in mind this timber is about 44 millimeters thick, I'm using a 4x40 screw. I've then got two holes to adjust it with afterwards, so I'm not saying what I'm doing is going to be wrong. I think it's going to be alright, but it's always a good idea to do something like that, I reckon. So we'll just put these two in. Now, I don't expect this to be really tight when I put this up against here, because you can do these up afterwards, so I will be tightening those later, but let's just see if that will clip onto there quite nicely now. Oh yeah, perfect. That is absolutely spot on. So that's worked really well. What I can do is drill the rest of these holes, do it on all four, and then we'll put the thing together. I really need help here, don't I? Because I don't want to lift one end up without the other end. There's nobody around to help me right now, so what I might have to do is... There we go, that's it. God, I really could have done with some help there. Just undo those bolts a little bit. There we go, that's locked in. So the great thing about these is you can put it together kind of loosely to start with. Just undo those bolts a little bit and then bang, there we go. Woo, that's a big bed. Now, what you won't see in this video, but very soon, is I'm going to make a headboard. So at the moment it's very basic, but I am going to be putting a headboard on there. I've got a great plan for a headboard, so wait and definitely check that out if you want to make yourself a headboard. Okay, next job, I'm going to just put this in position, tighten the brackets up, and then we'll get the centre support fitted. There, doesn't take much. That is feeling so solid. Well happy with that. I've already cut my centre support, and I wasn't going to use a bit of 4x2 or 2x6 rather. I wasn't going to use a piece this big, so I've got a piece of 2x3 which I'm now going to use as the centre support. So let's get cracking with that. I really wanted to have quite a thick or wide piece of timber on the bottom of here to give it a lot of strength. However, because the mattress is going to be sitting just below the side here, and then I've got a 1-inch slat going on, and then I've got the thick 3-inch timber, it doesn't leave me a lot on the bottom, and I didn't want to put a thick bit here and have it hanging over. So these were the bits I originally cut, but what I've done is notched them out. So I'm going to put that flat on the bottom, I'm going to glue it and screw it, and I do believe that will be just enough to give that centre a bit more support. Once that glue's gone off and you've got a screw right underneath here and 2 others, that will definitely be good enough. There we go, that's good, so we'll glue this up. There, once that glue's gone off, that really will be solid. What I am considering doing, particularly as this centrepiece needs to be able to just be removed quite easily, I'm thinking of using a bit of the leg timber and just creating a leg right in the middle on this centre beam. So we'll see how this is, but it's always something I can add a bit later. Right, so we should be able to just put our centre support in there now. There we go, that's good. Now yeah, it's a little bit loose, but I don't think that needs to be screwed down. I could put a screw in this when I do put the slats on, but at the moment I think just like that might be enough. It's Friday night, I'm having a beer. Oh yeah. With the centre rail in position, I measured how far down that was using the combination square and setting it, so I can now clamp and glue this slat support here, and I've clamped it and glued it, and I've got it the right height. I've measured where I want the screws. They're about 186mm apart, so there's going to be plenty of screws in there. So let's go ahead and start drilling. I've got 2-inch by 2-inch supports here for the slats, but by the time they're planed down it's about 44mm. So I've got these 5 by 80 screws which are going almost all the way through the side as well, so these really are going to hold, there's no doubt about that. End rail's done. Now I've just got to get the slats in. Now I've got all the slats cut, and here they are. Well, I've got 16 of these. I had to buy 8 lengths at 3.6 meters. That was all I could get. So I chopped those in half, and obviously it's made it 1.8 meters, which is just a little bit smaller than the actual bed itself, which is okay because there's no reason why that has to be really tight in there. And it was a good job I put this really wide and thick timber on the side to allow for the slat, so I'm not worried about a gap there whatsoever. Now what I've done, I've given these a quick sand, and I've also just taken the edge off these two parts of the timber, because when the mattress is on there and moving around, I don't want to, you know, to catch any sharp bits. So I've planed down each edge here, I've given it a sand, so these are lovely and smooth now. Initially what I was thinking of doing is actually screwing every single slat down, but what I think I'm going to do for now is actually just screw 4 down, so 1 at the top, 1 at the bottom, 2 in the middle, which will then leave, I think, 3 in between, something like that, that just float, and just we'll see how we go. If I'm finding they're moving around a lot, then I'll screw them down, but there are so many slats that actually they all sit quite close together, and if I've got a certain amount screwed down, then they can't really go anywhere. So anyway, let's get on with that and screw 4 down. So for these 4 slats, I've obviously got holes in the end and also in the middle for the centre support. The slats are 1 inch thick, or a little bit under 1 inch, so I've got these 2 inch or these 50mm by 5mm screws that are going to be securing the slat, so they're not going anywhere. Oh, there we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4 slats have been securely screwed down either end and in the middle, which leaves us with 4 slats in between each of those, which are just floating. But to be honest, even if these did that, it's not going to create a huge issue, but I'm just going to keep an eye on it over time as the mattress might move a little bit, but I'm sure they won't move that much. If they do, I'll just screw the rest down, but I'm just thinking I don't really need to do them all just yet. What I could do is do the old fabric underneath and staple some fabric underneath so they actually all stay together. Then you really only need to fix the top and bottom. That's quite a common way that bed manufacturers do their slats, but I'm not your standard bed manufacturer, so you know, I don't know, I might put some fabric on it at a later date, but for now this is good enough. The last thing left to do now is to fill these holes. I've just made some of these wooden plugs out of a bit of softwood, and all I need to do now is just put a bit of glue in there, pop it in, hammer it, chisel it, boom, job done. So I'm going to finish that off right now. A little bit of glue. So what I want to do is make sure that the grain on this plug actually is the same as the timber I'm putting it into. So it is a little bit tight, but I've already checked it, so I know it's right. Might just need a little bit of persuasion. There. There you go. I'm going to leave it a little bit proud because I want to just get the chisel on it so it's completely flush. Yeah, so I'm going to leave that like that. Get another one in. That's it, another one in. I mean, you're still going to see very slightly that there was a hole here, but once I've finished these, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it. Something like a whitewash or a distressed white. Certainly not going to leave it like this. I mean, I do love wood. I love working with wood. I love the look of it. I love the smell of it. But I don't want to leave it like this. Okay, the grain on that one is a little bit twisted, but compared to how that looked before, I think it's a vast improvement. So what I'm going to do now is just take the top of that off like so, with the chisel. Just like that. Just get rid of that final bit of glue, and that is job done. Well, there we go. As far as making the bed, we're finished. So last thing to do now, get the mattress on. Woo! Oh yeah, there we go, fantastic. Looking forward to sleeping in this tonight, I can tell you. Now that's how you make a super king size bed frame. Well, that's how I make it anyway. If you've got any questions about it or comments, I'd love to hear them. Leave those in the comments box below. As far as making the bed, we're done, but I still need to finish the timber. Not quite sure how yet, but that's going to be coming real soon. And I'm also making a headboard, so look out for that video on how to make your own headboard. If you enjoyed this video, guys, give us a thumbs up, that would be great. And also subscribe while you're here, that would be fantastic. Remember to hit that bell icon. You know what that's all about, notifications and stuff, so that'll be really cool as well. Much appreciated. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again real soon.